And we are live, back on the old soapbox. All right, gang, here we go. I want to dive into a little episode here. A lot going on in our space since we last spoke, but I want to actually keep it on a topic from a just coaching perspective. It's been a little while since kind of talked about some just sort of CrossFit centric from a coaching piece, and I want to hopefully help out a little bit. So, and what I mean by that is I think there's a lot of opportunity in our given environment to become a better coach and to make our athletes better. And there's still a lot of noise out there I hear this, a lot of people say that, there's certain, even within the CrossFit space, which is confusing, and influencers or consultants or whomever, and they say that you shouldn't be teaching certain movements in a group setting, so on and so forth. And so whenever I see that, it gets me a little upset because I think it devalues you as a coach. I think it comes from a place of misguided intention as well, where obviously you can provide a different product and get a good workout and all sorts of stuff, but it doesn't mean you can't do what we've always been doing, and it's been really effective. So with that said, what is the opportunity that we have right now? What is this opportunity? Well, for many of us, I would say even around the world, it's safe to say that we're getting back into our gyms in a limited capacity. Now, if you're at full bore, awesome. But I think this can still absolutely benefit you from that perspective. But I think that it's important to think that, all right, well, I'm right now coaching classes outside and I'm limited to X amount of people, 10 people. I'm coaching classes inside, limited to X amount of people, say 10 or 12 people. So, and so there's always been this notion of all right, well, what's the perfect coach to athlete ratio? And obviously that's predicated on your skill and ability, but now you don't have a choice, right? We know that for most of us, our classes are going to be full and they're going to be either 10 or 12 or whatever people, but it's not going to be as much as you were used to for the safety guidelines. And now what we can do is, all right, well, so what should we do as coaches to our athletes? Well, we want to introduce them back into movements and and loading that they haven't been on for the past couple months because they haven't been in the gym. Awesome. So we have this perfect storm, and this is the opportunity. You have athletes that are not necessarily deconditioned, but they might be. But they are definitely out of practice and out of volume conditioning from, say, barbell movements or pull-up bars, so on and so forth. And then you also have a limited class size, and you also have people that are really excited to get back and get more results, right? So as opposed to just really doing what's really easy and saying, well, let's just do, boot campy type of movements, low skill types of movements. Let's not get them back onto this or that. Well, no, let's actually take the opposite approach of we know it's not hard to get a good workout, and we've done that for 4 months with relatively low equipment, but people are looking for more. So we also can satiate that side of the equation. And also keep in mind another sort of carrot of opportunity here is that there are people joining our gyms that had never done CrossFit before. I've talked to so many gym owners, and at our gyms we have people joining classes because other gyms aren't open. Let's take this opportunity. We have people that are joining CrossFit gyms and smaller boutique style gyms because the big box gyms, the big, Globo types of gyms are not opening because their model isn't set up for that, but we can do that. They can't do class in the parking lot because they don't do classes, or if their classes are, it's a big challenge, right? So, but we can. So let's get them back on the barbell. And let's say with the snatch, right? Everyone's like, you shouldn't teach the snatch in a group setting. Whenever I hear that, I just think to myself, have you not been to our CrossFit Olympic lifting seminars? Have you not been to those places and those things? And, it's you can really do some cool stuff with the PVC pipe. And I think there's just massive generalizations. And a lot of people look for the headline and look for controversy and also look for low-hanging fruit, right? It's I don't know, I've been doing this for a long time. And I've coached consistently for 10 plus years at very successful affiliates. And I've coached over almost 400 seminars between level 1s and level 2s. And you just need to limit your scope, know what you don't know, and master the fundamentals. So now, and let's take that into practice. Put PVC pipe in your people's hands. Teach them how to snatch. get in the warm-ups, go. And this is something we're doing on the hand plan right now, is like, we're getting them upside down and overhead, and obviously Olympic lifts are a lot of the overhead stuff, and put the PVC pipe in your hand and go through the entire Bergner warm-up and do that for 10 minutes. And you're going to be warm, you're going to be practiced, and you're going to be ready for an empty barbell. And then from there, keep the barbell light and just go through that. And as opposed to, we're not going to go heavy. One, we're not used to the barbell because we haven't been on it in a while. And two, if you are going to go a little bit heavier, we're also going to limit the loading because, we need, that's the nature of higher weight, or limit the reps. So we can play with this stuff. But in the beginning, we're going to limit the weight because we're out of practice, and we need to limit the volume because we're not going to do 100 squat snatches, at an empty barbell for time. But we can do all sorts of unique, fun stuff to get them practiced. And so utilize this unique time where people aren't. Because normally the struggle with newer coaches and people that struggle to present this appropriately, it's like, well, coach, get this response. Coach, I can do this. Why do I have to go lighter? Or I can go heavier. Or I can do it RX. I can do that many reps. But now I think people more than ever, they're excited, but they're also really trusting that, like, they also know that they're out of barbell shape. They're not used to this stuff. So they want practice. But also keep in mind they're not used to that type of movement, so they're going to be super sore from this. So you're going to give them a stimulus, and you can also get them so much better. You can retrain your athletes and get them. It's almost opportunity to create new, better habits and erase some of the older ones that were hard. It's hard to take a group of people to take 2 steps back to make 1 step forward if they're only coming once in a while. And, this is also a time for you as coaches to really hone in on your skill, right? Become a better coach during these times. At the most, you're going to be coaching 10 people, and or 12 people, depending on whatever number that is. And so, really, this is your time to coach. You're not going to be able to get super tactile or hands-on. You have to get better at verbal and visual cues. You're going to have to really get better at your time management. You're going to have to get good at your teaching of these complex movements, because effective teaching leads to less errors and therefore less corrections. So obviously when you are teaching these complex movements, how effectively you teach it, so you get the most of your people moving from a gross motor pattern the way you would want, it is absolutely an opportunity to start to hone in those skills. You need to be prepping and lesson planning and working harder than ever now, because you're going to probably be coaching more classes and you need to be super efficient. And for you can't be exhausted from it either. So you need to make sure that what you're delivering is streamlined and it's consistent from class to class. But you have to be getting your people better. And it's just really cool. And here's another thing, right? Like the amount of people that, that have been following the hand plan, I've seen PR some of their lifts. It's something that it also shows that universal motor recruitment patterns, transferability from one movement to another, and that our program works. You don't need strength and Metcon. You don't need to do all this lifting. People have PRing because they've taken time off. We show that volume isn't the answer, but consistency is. And we've been consistent doing movements that are obviously resemble some of these bigger lifts, but we haven't been lifting heavy. And who would have thought? Now we're coming back into it. We're PRing. So we're seeing a lot of that too. So we can dovetail onto what we've seen. So obviously let the body recover from high, heavy loading, but also making sure we can start to move a little better. So some tangible things to do for you coaches that might struggle out there a little bit is doing on the minute work is really helpful. So like, all right, guys, so you take them through a PVC pipe or a warm up, and then maybe you're going to have them slowly build up, and you can have like if you have, say, a class of 5 or 6 people, or 12 people, you do, one group does on the 0, and split your group in half. The other group goes on the 30 seconds, and it's 1 to say 5 repetitions depending on the movement and the load. And you do this for, say, 10 or 15 minutes. This is a really, really cool way for you to coach your butt off, right? So now you only have to coach 5 or 6 people, and you have 10 minutes or so to actually coach, and they're loading and getting warm. And this is also your time to separate your people, right? Because some of your athletes might be pretty advanced, where they can get loading up and get back onto it, and it's great. Some of your athletes might be newer or nervous, so they can get a bunch of reps. Don't be tied to a rep scheme either, right? Where you could say, all right, we're going to do on the minute for 10 minutes, say 1 to, let's say 2 to 5 touch and go snatches as an example, if you want to work on that skill of touch and go. So for some of your more veteran athletes, and maybe you could say, hey, maybe you're going to do 5, 4, 3, and then hold at 2s, right? don't be so strict on this stuff, because think about how you would kind of warm up. I want to get a handful of reps at lighter weight and then the reps go down. But if I want to work on touch and go at a heavier load, maybe I do 2. For your athletes that aren't that confident or just working on this brand new skill, which is awesome, now maybe it's 5 repetitions the whole time. So now you can go between 50 reps, or at the very least maybe 20 reps. So and that's how you tailor the class, but you tailor what you're limiting your scope from 10 or 12 people to 5 or 6 people moving at a time. You can get some really serious work done. You could even, depending on how long it takes, it can sort of be like you can set your people up in lines, and you set up, say, for example, if there's 4 lines of 3 or 3 lines of 4, and they can be like one, like they lift, and you can walk your way down. So now you have, now it's maybe 4 people moving at a time or 3 people moving at a time. Getting creative in how you set your class up and how they move allows you to get so much more work done from a coaching perspective. And there's my problem with, and we're troubleshooting here, right? As opposed to saying you shouldn't teach these movements in a group setting, how about you work to become a better coach so you can, limiting your scope to do that. And I just don't, and just tell your athletes what you want from them. It's if you're demanding quality of movement and all that stuff, then demand it. Anytime I hear that you can't do something, I hear that you're just not a good enough coach, or you're afraid to get better, or you've given up, or you're giving a different product. But all of those things neglect the fact of personal development. And it's like, if you're coaching group classes, and that's really what we're talking about. I'm not talking about this one-on-one thing. It's like, but like for me, it's like, I'm going to coach group classes because that's what I love to do. That's where I actually think the most potent results can be delivered. If you want one-on-one stuff, great. That's just not my favorite thing to do. I like the energy. I like the feel. It's what I think a lot of people love. Now, a lot of people love the one-on-one. It's just a little different. And that conversation is very different because you can really do whatever. And you can get away with so much in one-on-one that you could never get away with even one-on-two. Your actual coaching skill set drops down so much. So if all you're doing is one-on-one stuff, it will really poorly translate to a group because you're just not practiced in really anything from the sense of how do you manage a group, how do you see and correct more than one person. The skills are very different, And that's why I think this is really awesome, is that you can... Now you're limiting that scope, but also you're not getting tactile. So you have to get super visual, super verbal. And that's what that one-on-one world is all about, like getting super hands-on. So you're not necessarily going to be able to do that. So you're going to be challenged to get better here. And my challenge to all of our coaches out there right now, this is tough, because I think the coaching landscape is really hard right now, and it makes me pretty sad because gyms are going to be tightening up. I mean, there's not going to be enough hours for everyone out there. Your programs aren't going to be as robust as they were. What I mean by that is like offsites and things like that. So how do you start to separate yourself? And I think that's where you can separate yourself with some one-on-one stuff as well. Like, I think that's a great way to offer that and get a niche group of clients and find something there. And then when you coach your classes, the key is just to be, how do you become the best coach? You need to continually refine, educate, inspire, and entertain. And this is your opportunity now to take advantage of this, because you can become a better coach and you can get your people better and you can get them reinvigorated. And remember that, and we're talking about handstand push-ups to, heavy days. All of these things really give us a unique opportunity to re-ingrain some important things, and because people have naturally taken a couple step backs, so we can really tighten the ship a little bit. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys on this episode. And from a tactics perspective, you need to have and I'll just go back to what we provide in the hand plan, is like our lesson plans give you a full outline of how to run a class, but then you need to take that and prepare on your own of what you're going to do, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, all that stuff based off all the resources that we give. So you need to be doing this. Stop winging your classes and preparing. I hear all this talk about how you become a professional trainer, become a professional trainer, and that's how you become a professional trainer. And never once in my career did I ever think that I was like, I need to be a professional trainer. No, I just wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best coach. I wanted to deliver the best product, and I was going to be untiring in that pursuit. And I think that that's what you need to do right now. You have to just be the best, be the hardest worker in the room. Own your own actions, own your behavior, own what you're doing to separate yourself. And it's not for you to be better than others. It's for you to be the best. And I think that's important for your gym to be your best, your class to be the best, for your skills. It is not a negative on others. It's a positive on you. What are you doing to grow and progress? And this is your time selfishly as a coach to start to do that, but then also for you to make your athletes better, and they're going to see it. And because anyone can do a boot camp in a park, and you can do and make a workout hard, but how are you going to make people better? People recognize skill, talent, hard work, and consistency. And this is your time to highlight those skill set and to separate yourself from everyone else because of what you're doing for you and what you're doing for them, not how you are to be better than other people. That will just happen naturally. Just be the hardest worker out there, and people will see it, just like you see that stuff. So that's what I got with you. I just wanted to hop on a quick soapbox about this stuff. We're still under that 20-minute time domain. Hit me with something if you need something. I'm excited. That I think that, hopefully we're starting to see, we're getting into the gym, we're getting outside, we're getting some good stuff. If you have questions, hit me up. I appreciate the support. Everything that you guys say to me on social media, you send me emails. It means so much. I try to read everything. I try to get back to it over time on the social media stuff. So I do appreciate it. But guys, work hard, have fun, appreciate you. Let me know if you need anything, and we'll see you out there.